Silverwolf 999 or Superwolf is easily one of the most hyped units in this patch, but here's the thing, she's not as simple as she looks. So that's why in this video we are going to determine the reasons of why you should pull her, and at the same time, why is it also okay if you skip her. But before we begin, I would like to say thank you for today's sponsor, Buff. Since the Honkai Star Rail anniversary is right around the corner, Buff might be the perfect option if you are planning to pull for Silverwolf or Evanesia. Buff is a gaming app store that offers really affordable prices with discounts of up to 50%, fast delivery, and it's completely safe to use. They also support a bunch of games like Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, Zone Zero, and even Wuthering Waves. And it does not matter where you are from, Buff works globally and supports multiple payment methods. All you have to do is enter your UID, your region, email, and choose your payment method. Make sure you log in first and then add the code CATBALONI to get 15% discounts exclusive to Honkai Star Rail and Zone Zero only. Secure your favorite characters with Buff now. For a quick introduction, Silverwolf 999 is a fully dedicated single-target DPS, meaning she naturally excels in single-target scenario, but is not as strong in heavy AoE situations. She uses a unique resource called MMR instead of traditional energy, and her scaling heavily depends on how much MMR she has. At maximum, she can gain up to 240% crit value and around 30% final damage bonus on her enhanced basic attacks, purely from MMR. This essentially makes her a turn-based hypercarry with an all-in playstyle similar to Finan, except you still keep your teammates active. Her scaling with speed and crit is also somewhat comparable to how Firefly works, although Firefly scales with break effect, speed, and attack instead, which makes her easier to build with a lower entry requirement. That should be enough for a basic introduction. Now let's move on to the reasons to pull Silverwolf 999 or Superwolf. First, both characters released in version 4.2 seems to have pretty similar performance. Because of that, my reasons this time are going to be a bit more subjective than usual. The first reason is that she's one of the main highlight units for this anniversary patch. When a character gets that kind of spotlight, there's a high chance they will receive strong post-release support. That means new characters or mechanics that further boost her performance. At the very least, probably a new Elation sustain unit that makes her team even more solid. We have seen this before in version 3 with characters like Castoris and Finan. Both were main highlights and both received strong follow-up supports. Even though in version 2 only Firefly really benefited significantly compared to Acheron, I don't think they will repeat that mistake here. But hey, it turned out Firefly gets a Nova Flare and even a new dedicated support like Dahlia, right? If Superwolf does not get good post-release support, her rerun sales would likely drop, and that's something they are definitely aware of. Otherwise, they would waste so much money doing her marketing with all the trailers and amazing in-game animations. This very reason might be known to that players who already pull Superwolf and thus decide to bring her home into their account. So if you are currently sure she will get more supporters, or at least one, then that's a huge sign you have to get her. The second reason is her unique kit and insane animations. She can negate or clean status effects that work globally, field mechanics that can still benefit her even outside of her turn, and ultimate that does not rely on energy. These are all traits we have seen in previous main highlight units, which usually comes with higher production value, better animations, more detailed design, and overall more effort put into the character. Of course, this part is subjective. Some people might not like her design or animations, but at the very least, it shows that the developers clearly put extra attention into her, which again suggests she will likely receive strong future support. The third reason is that you are personally want a new team going into version 4 to make a content feel more comfortable to play. You don't need multiple teams, just one solid new team is enough. So if you like to play it safely, that's actually a wise choice. Secure the strongest new character in this patch and you are good to go for the rest of the patch. Right now there are 3 main options for teams that you want to focus on: Superwolf, Evanesia's team, and probably Himeko's SP team. But Himeko feels like it will take longer to fully build. If you focus on one team, Superwolf seems like the best choice for you, since she's releasing earlier, meaning her team setup will likely come together faster. So why not go for Evanesia instead? Because Superwolf is a main highlight unit, she's more likely to receive better long-term support. Even though their current performance is similar, it's hard to imagine a scenario where a heavily promoted character ends up performing worse than another unit from the same patch by the end of the version. So for people that put Superwolf already, choosing her feels like the safer investment compared to Evanesia. And if you want to do the same, which is the safety way, go all in for Superwolf. And then we go to why you should skip her, or it's okay if you save your Jade instead. The main issue with Silverwolf, or even the Elation path as a whole, is not just about peak performance, but the entry requirement needed for them to function properly. To maintain proper rotations at lower investment levels, players often have to rely on action advanced mechanics, even though Super Wolf does not scale with attack at all. That alone shows how critical speed is for her. When a character relies heavily on one or two specific stats, building them becomes much more harder compared to characters with more balanced stat distributions. For example, units like Castoris is easier to build because their stats are spread across HP, crit rate, and crit damage. For more specialized units like Firefly, it's already difficult to achieve perfect stats since you are focusing mainly on break effect and speed. However, Firefly is more forgiving because her baseline performance is high. You can build her quickly and still get a usable unit. Super Wolf, on the other hand, has much higher entry requirement. The lower end build can even feel borderline unplayable. Lacking both crit and sufficient speed to reach key breakpoints is extremely punishing. Unless you are running her with Asta, anything below 200 speed starts to feel questionable. While she can still function at lower speeds, especially in gimmicky boss fights, in neutral scenarios, missing that extra turn from not hitting 200 speed can result in huge damage loss. One upside though is that she can technically use any main stat on certain relic pieces since most of her scaling comes from substats. But in sustainless runs, that flexibility is mostly an illusion. You are effectively forced to run defensive main stats on both Orb and Rope because despite being somewhat tanky, Super Wolf has no built-in healing or damage reduction. Without defensive stats, she gets deleted almost instantly. Even running her with supports like Hua Hua does not fully prevent one-shots, so you still need defensive build regardless. That said, this all could change if a dedicated Elation sustain unit gets released in the future. As for her current power level, it's not that overwhelming. At lower investment, she's comparable to units like Evernight or Cyrene. She feels amazing in current content due to favorable mechanics, aka Elation Shields. But in neutral scenarios, the gap between sustain and sustainless setup becomes very noticeable. If you are not playing her in content tailored for her, her damage might feel underwhelming. She also scales extremely hard with team investment. Eidolons and signature light cones are matter a lot here, so if you plan to use her, be prepared for that. She's not cheap, you need to fully optimize. I also want to add my personal opinion. I personally skip Super Wolf despite her being the main push character in this version. Don't get me wrong, I care a lot about the meta, it's just that I have not yet pulled Sparksy to be one of her premium team options. The only Super Wolf supporters that I pull are none other than Yao Guang. It's true that Super Wolf team will still perform fine if I happen to pull her and pair her with both Yao Guang and EMC. But this mainly works because we are currently in a situation with heavy elation shielding, some endgame buffs or enemy mechanics that will give you tons of punchlines, so that Super Wolf's MMR generation will work just fine without Sparksy's presence. But if we go outside of that situation, in more general scenario, Sparksy's presence might become almost mandatory due to having the best raw MMR generation for Super Wolf. Since I don't even have Sparksy now, that's why I skip Super Wolf and instead invest in a Venetia to secure at least one Elation teams. So those are the reasons of either pull Super Wolf or skip her entirely. For those of you that still have not yet claimed your Super Wolf and bring her home, I hope this video makes sense to you. If you enjoyed the content, please hit the like and subscribe button to support Cat Bolony, turn on notification as well so you won't miss out on any of my Star Rail content. I will see you guys on my next one. Bye bye!